Welcome to Diary of an Ex-Ho. I'm Cheri Hardman. I'm your ex-ho, and today's guest is Marie Elizabeth. So sit back and enjoy the episode, and remember the old saying, always a bridesmaid when you're a hoe.
My name is Marie Elizabeth. I use any and all pronouns. I'm from Seattle, and um, I think of myself as pansexual and polyamorous. So I'm married. I've been married for almost 23 years, and I also have another partner.
All right. Well, I'm glad to have you here. You have
Thank you.
in a very short time become one of my favorite people. Um,
That's
so
amazing. You're one of my favorite people.
the first thing we always do on this show is a marry, shag, kill. And I try to orient it to each person. And so I'm going to go grab that. And, I don't know you that well, so I did the best I could. But since there, I think you can see it. Since you do a show called Hotties and Bodies that has comedians and pole dancers,
Yeah, it's a good
I
combo.
right. So I'm going to show you three people that used to be exotic dancers, and you're going to marry one, you're going to shag one, you're going to kill one. We got Chris Pratt, Channing Tatum, Lady Gaga. Who are you going to marry? Who are you going to shag? Who are you going to kill?
I'm gonna marry Lady Gaga. I'm gonna shag Channing Tatum, and I'm gonna kill Chris Pratt.
Oh, well, that didn't take you long to figure that one out at all.
No, I mean, I'm a little surprised that Chris Pratt was an exotic dancer since he's so Christian now. I
Oh,
just don't think that our values align anymore.
yeah.
Maybe when he danced.
Yeah. All right. Well, bye, Chris. You're out of here. Okay. Um, when it comes to sex, would you rather watch or be watched?
Um, Probably be watched. I
Or
think, yeah, I've just been to a variety of club environments, and and I think that I just don't like feeling left out. Like I want
oh,
to be in the middle. I feel excluded if I'm being a voyeur, even if I'm not.
right.
But
Okay.
I do pay for porn, I will say.
You do. Oh,
Yeah,
so you still like to watch stuff. Got it.
yeah.
Took me a minute to figure that one out. Um, when you were growing up, what did your parents or whoever raised you, what did they call private parts?
I had a really unusual upbringing because my mother is Jehovah's Witness and so very repressed, but then also um, uh, really promiscuous and taught me about sex at a very early age. And she used the scientific terms.
Oh, okay. Um, so your parents were not together?
My my mom left when I was about 6. She just kind of left in the night with one of her boyfriends. Um, and she came back into my life later. So I was between my two parents' houses, but they never liked each other. It was
Oh,
just
okay.
an accident. So it was a really weird, bifurcated idea of what's normal and what's not normal.
Right. So, okay. So my question that I usually ask is, were your parents good relationship role models? I'm gonna guess that was a no.
Kind of the worst I can imagine, honestly.
So how do you think that um affected just you and your life and how you do relationships?
I think that it gave me an example of what I didn't want, seeing a variety of relationships. My mom got married multiple times that were not really healthy. And so I actually studied psychology is what I got my undergraduate degree in. And then I studied social work for my master's and I became a therapist. So I knew theoretically what a good relationship looked like, but like putting it into practice was really hard. And I feel like I made a lot of mistakes and did a lot of like unlearning and relearning of what a healthy relationship could be. And it's really why um, like being polyamorous really spoke to me, and being pansexual is I was taught, the role of the woman is to just acquiesce to the man's needs, um, be their companion, but they make the decisions for you. And the idea of bodily autonomy with polyamory was really liberating for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense because I was thinking, you just said that you didn't like the different relationships and stuff that your mom had, but then you're polyamorous. So thank you for clarifying that difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a really big difference between I think that people don't really understand polyamory too much, but I will say that the way that I think about it is just like Venn diagrams, and I get to decide, how we overlap and what feels good in connecting to us. It doesn't have to be sexual, but it could be. As opposed to my mom had a series of monogamous relationships that sometimes overlapped, but blew up in huge ways. Um,
Right.
and the men that she picked were often substance abusers, and really nothing for me to emulate there.
Right. Well, and it sounded like nobody was on the same page.
Oh, absolutely
Yeah.
not. Absolutely not. Yeah.
All right. So now I'm going to ask you about your sexual awakening. Like when you first noticed that sex was a thing, whether it was just changes in your body or somebody told you something or stuff that you saw. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think I had two. One of them was as a teenager, and I'm, in my 40s, and so I watched porn on cable, on pay-per-view channels. So the images were scrambled, so it'd be like half a boob on one side and the rest of the boob on the other side. Um, and just like really, really trying to like understand my body, especially coming from a religious sort of like framework where I was told that wiping twice was masturbation, like trying to figure
Oh,
out really what masturbation was, and being fascinated by not understanding what squirting was, but then squirting. Um, and then I had another one because I went through a ton of therapy for trauma and anorexia. And then, especially when like nourishing my body came online around late 30s, early 40s. And that's when I started being polyamorous because all of a sudden everybody was so attractive. I wanted to just like engage with them in ways that felt wholesome to me and good in connecting. And then that's where I've really had all of my adventures at like kink clubs and events, and being polyamorous and just really having rules around safety but little else. That's all been in my 40s.
wow. Uh, so what? Okay. I don't know how you're going to answer this, but what is your type? What attracts you to someone?
Oh, my type is somebody that's like really authentic and understands themselves really well.
Okay.
If there's any sort of facade, that's a huge turn off to me. But I like the energy of somebody more than like a physical attribute.
Okay. Did you have any celebrity crushes when you were younger?
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think to just narrow it down. I will say that the most surprising celebrity crush that I had was that Jehovah's Witnesses are very homophobic. And so I really thought I was straight. But when I watched Star Trek Voyager, I don't know if you're familiar with Seven of Nine. I had she's a beautiful Borg who was in a skin tight outfit the entire time. Um, I felt like it was too painful to look at. Like I felt like
Mm,
my body was gonna shut down just looking at her. And it was sort of the first time that I didn't even clock it as a crush, but just that physiological response and feeling like almost obsession.
right. Do you remember any? Okay, well, I guess that's a TV show. Do you remember any other like any mainstream movies that you're watching it and gave you kind of a reaction like okay, I'm gonna watch this again and again.
Oh, yeah, I think pretty much anything with Brad Pitt in it. I remember in like A River Runs Through It, he like does a thing with his cap where like there's water droplets and he just seems ethereal.
Oh,
Uh, I think that I was really attracted to people sort of in that were masculine with a more feminine look.
that makes sense. Um, so you watch porn.
Yeah.
Do you have like a go-to category that you're willing to admit to?
Yeah, well, it is definitely sort of women or fun-centered pleasure, um, group scenarios, power and control dynamics, and um, and strap-ons.
Okay.
But again, I pay for porn, so it's like a woman-run
Right.
um
Right. Because I was going to
company.
ask, like, what effects do you think porn has had on your life?
Yeah, I think that I mean, growing up, being a teenager in the 90s, there was so much like around like feminism being anti-porn and and me trying to sort of figure out where that was. While I think popular culture that I'd grown up with actually had worse messaging for me, like Revenge of the Nerds. Um, there's a lot of just sort of like movies where there's a lot of stalking behavior that I thought would was romantic. And so then when it came to porn, it felt like a natural progression to that. Of course, if you're gonna like stalk the girlfriend, have a boombox outside of her bedroom until she opens the door, that like then sex is gonna be still pretty objectifying and controlling. Um, and I didn't really think about sex in a different way until um, until I was able to sort of like feel better about myself, and so I wasn't objectifying myself. But early porn, I feel like was sort of had elements um, of an object and the act meaning more than the person. And I pay for porn specifically because I like it to be around connecting and the people. The
Mm-hmm.
act is secondary to me to what the connection looks like.
Yeah. What's your definition of amazing sex?
If I become dehydrated from coming so much, or if my partner tells me that it's the best, most intense sex they've ever had, it's amazing.
That's nice. Yeah. All right, we're gonna go to the wheel of dirty questions. Dirty questions right now. So hang on, let me go get that.
Okay.
Gotta go here first. Get out of it. Go, 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 go away. Thank you very much. Add away. Go away.
I like that your ads are for underwear.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, it's also queer underwear.
I wear the period panties.
Oh, yeah.
And so then if anything comes out of me, you know, doesn't get on my clothes. Come on, go away. Hmm. Well, this sucks. I mean, I'll have to edit this out, obviously, but I can't make it go away. I wonder why.
That's so frustrating.
Like, feedback on this ad, it won't go away. Well, I don't care if you show it again. I just want it to go away. And that didn't work either.
Oh no.
We got to do the wheel. I wonder if I try to open another window with it.
That's so cool.
All right. We get you one spin. You only got to answer one question.
Okay.
Have you had sex with more than one person in a day?
Yes, I have. Um, I've had sex with more than one person a day from having two one-on-one encounters and then also from having a threesome.
Yay.
That's a fun wheel.
Yeah, it is. It seems like it always and lands on the same questions, though. You know how that happens when you have a wheel?
Yeah.
Um, all right. Now, first of all, I want to ask, has anybody in your life, and this can be in many different ways, ever tried to make you feel bad about having the body parts that you have?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my mother.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how much you would want to go into trauma dumping, but my mom's made me feel incredibly terrible about my body since I was very small.
Okay. I started asking this question because I was getting so much flack for for the cleavage on my poster for my show. And I
Oh,
was thinking, like, I bet God, I get, like, oh, this is filthy. Like, we don't want this in our town, And then I take the picture off and leave the hoe words and everything. And they're fine with the sex and the hoe. They just don't want to see the boobs. And I'm thinking, I bet guys never have to deal with this. So I thought I'd start asking everyone, like, does anybody ever try to shame you for your body? And
yeah,
so,
and I will say that I've actually had it in the workplace. Um, so I'm a social worker and I specialize in kids and people with autism or neurodiversity. And I've worked in multiple places where I was pulled in for a discussion just about my boobs. And can I do a better job of covering up? And then when I ask, I think, appropriate clarifying questions, then they get really offended. So um, and I didn't know that I was autistic when this started. So they would say like, we need to talk about, your outfits. This would be considered too revealing in those job placements.
yeah.
And I was like, what's wrong with them? And they're like, well, you work with children. And I said, well, children don't sexualize boobs. And they're like, well, your coworkers are becoming uncomfortable. And so then I would ask, like, okay, well, how much do I cover up so that they feel more comfortable around me with my boobs? Um, and then I would just start saying, like, they said no cleavage. And I was like, does that mean you want me to cover up to my collarbone? And they said, now you're just making fights with us. But I was really not understanding what was wrong. People with smaller chests were wearing much more revealing shirts. I guess it just didn't give people the uh-oh feeling that my boobs gave my coworkers.
Yeah, I find that really frustrating because, like, if I have a good bra on and I'm sitting there, like, at my desk, I mean, I got boobs, I got cleavage all the way up to my neck almost.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so then, if I bend over, either to lean in to listen to somebody in a therapeutic session or like I'm picking up a toy with a kid, I'm not trying to show them my boobs. My boobs just live on my body.
Right, right. Yeah, and I'm finding it one of the most frustrating things in my life right now. So I just want
Yeah.
to ask other people. So,
And now that I have my own staff, one of the questions for new hires is that they ask me about what's appropriate and do they have to wear a bra? Because they've been talked to in previous places that they have to only wear a bra. And I was like, no, it's fine. If a client has a problem with your boobs, then that sounds like a good therapeutic discussion because like that's just a lot of body policing.
right. Well, so many people have been taught certain things. Like my friend Carol and I talk all the time about how our moms would be horrified if we didn't cover our upper arms because you had to wear a jacket over everything. And like younger women like have never heard this, but still like we both still struggle with letting our arms show.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
so when
absolutely.
you've
The
been
idea of
taught
like,
that your whole life, it's kind of hard to unlearn that. You really got to work on it. So,
yeah, and I think that the dress codes have shifted, but not being allowed to wear spaghetti straps because somebody might see your bra strap and then that would be inappropriate.
yeah.
Yeah, my grandma ripped a seam in one of my dresses when I was 10 because when I sat down it didn't cover my knees.
Oh,
Um and so I just sort of think of that of like the that like how scandalous it is that when I sit down sometimes people can see my knees.
right.
Makes me feel a little Victorian sometimes.
I'm really lucky because I worked at a high school for over 20 years and tried my best to not be too much. Never did anyone say anything to me. So that was great.
Oh, yeah.
All right. What's the
Yeah.
best compliment you've ever received on your naked body?
Um, I had somebody tell me that it was their ideal body. Uh, and that was after I was in eating disorder recovery and had gained 100 pounds. So that blew my mind.
Yeah. Well, that's a nice thing to hear. Do you have any sexual regrets?
Um, I think that any regret I have is just about believing people when they say that they wanted to do something because they were excited to be with me. Um, but I think that, then later they had regrets because they weren't really polyamorous, but they just got excited in the moment,
Mm,
or they had internalized homophobia that later they they said like, "Oh, I can't believe I did that," because it makes me feel bad.
mm,
I never want somebody to have any kind of regret when they're with me.
right. Is there anything left on your sexual bucket list?
I've never had it. Well, lots. I've never had a threesome with two men. I've never had an orgy. I've only had fire flogging one time, and I'd love to do that again.
Fire flogging. Is that what
Yeah,
it sounds like?
it is. I was at it was a camp out for a kink group, and they had a tasting, and so I wanted to try everything, even though I didn't think I would like everything. Um, so it was fun. I was like, I don't think I'll like needle play, but I would love to try to make sure that that's true and it's not just me being squeamish.
Mm-hmm.
So fire flogging was flogging where the woman dipped the flogger in an accelerant, lit it on fire, and then I was naked outside with a group of people, and then yeah, she smacked my butt.
Oh, hmm. All right. What's your host song? Like, what song, when you hear it, kind of wakes up your host spirit?
I've got a new one, which is Chapel Roan's Hot to Go. Um, I'm really inspired by the younger women about just like being able to talk about their sexuality and proclaim it and just say like, yeah, I'm kind of horny looking for somebody that I can go home with. Um, I think that that's so magical, and I'm envious that they figured it out so much earlier than I did, but
Right.
it's just so delightful.
Yeah. What is your Instagram?
Marie Elizabeth comedy.
Okay. This episode is going to come out probably the second Wednesday in October. So, do you have anything booked around that time that you want to promote?
Hotties and Bodies is October 10th. I don't have my lineup yet.
Okay.
And then my birthday is October 13th. And so I'm still doing an open mic at Shanghai. And somebody's bringing me a birthday cake.
Oh, fun.
I was thinking of bringing a flogger or a paddle for spankings, but I don't know how the bar would feel about that.
I think they'd probably be fine with it, but who am I to say? All right, now's the time that comes that all the questions are over, and now I just need you to tell me a story.
Okay. Um, so the first time that I ever went to a kink club, I was very, very nervous. You know, in my early 40s, and a friend who'd been in the scene for a while took me. And so I got I got a dress from, you know, just like a retail place that was kind of slutty. We took an Uber there. It was during COVID, so everybody had to be tested first. And just my nervousness um started like both building and dissipating because everybody there's like a normal person. And so being able to like do that, I went in and I got some drinks and I watched some scenes unfold in front of me. And there was somebody there who was just offering spankings. And so I said, oh, okay, of course, I'd love that. And so after that was over, I said to my friend, like, what are you supposed to do when you just get turned on by a stranger? And then like what's next? And there was a woman who came over and said, I would love to make out with you. And so we went over to a couch and she said, can my boyfriend come? And I said, sure. And she's like, actually, I would like to eat you out. And I was like, okay. This is my first time in any kind of public
Right.
environment. And also I've had children. Like I was not, and I'd gained weight in anorexia recovery. So I was not thinking of myself as cute in this moment. Um, but she told me that she found me really attractive. So I sat down on a leather couch and she started eating me out, and then her partner just made out with me. Um, and then it was so strange because I feel like I sort of got like tunnel focus of just this moment of just us together. And then all of a sudden, like a dungeon master came around with a huge pile of towels, and he's like, "It looks like you need this." And I did because I'd made a huge mess everywhere. Um, and then after it was over, we just sort of like separated, and then I went over and just got tied up by somebody different.
Sounds like fun. So when you said you had tunnel vision, was that like in a good way?
Yeah, it was a good
Or-
way. I was really focused on this interaction between these two people, and I kind of forgot that anybody else could see me. Um, I liked the energy of the space because I have hyper
Mhm.
empathy, so I was like really absorbing like all of this
Right.
excitement. Um, but yeah, I totally forgot that I was on full display for this whole thing.
Well, it sounds like a good time was had by all. So it's been lovely to have you here. Thank you for speaking with me. And I know I'll see you around. Are you going to
Okay.
be, did you apply for the Comedy Voice?
I haven't. Is it still open?
I'm not sure. I don't know, but I know that on the 10th, there's a last chance audition show. I don't know anything about how you get into that,
Okay.
but anyway.
Yeah, I saw that. It looks like you were a previous winner and now you're a coach.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Fun, fun. All
Yeah,
right.
I kind of like got derailed from everything with COVID. So I feel like I'm just coming out of my bubble
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. All right. Well, good talking to you. I'll see you
All
later.
right.
All
Thank
right.
you
Bye
so
bye.
much. Bye.